When Professor Yossi Garfinkel, a seasoned Israeli archaeologist, and Saar Ganor of the Israel Antiquities Authority began digging at Khirbet Qeiyafa, they could not have known of the battle ahead of them. When Garfinkel and his team found an ancient inscription from the time of King David, the fortified city of Khirbet Qeiyafa, found located within the ancient borders of the Kingdom of Judah, became world famous overnight. The geographical setting of Khirbet Qeiyafa is the same region that is the setting for the biblical stories about David, the shepherd boy who became king of Israel, and his battles against Goliath and the Philistines. Sitting on top of a hill overlooking Israel's Elah Valley, I'm trying to imagine what it would have looked like to the ancient Israelites living in the Kingdom of Judah who built the fortified city of Khirbet Qeiyafa on this hill. I was trying to understand the strategic significance of this valley in the conflict between ancient Judah and the Philistines and this fortress city built with two gates. The southern gate facing the eastern road that leads to the villages, towns, and cities of Judah, Bethlehem, Hebron, and Jerusalem, and the western gate facing the road towards the cities of the Philistine Pentapolis, Ashkelon, Ashdod, Ekron, Gat, and Gaza, and the Mediterranean Sea. Khirbet Qeiyafa is a stone's throw away from the epic battle recorded in the Bible between David and Goliath, the Israelites led by King Saul versus the Philistines. Khirbet Qeiyafa is located one day walk from Hebron, King David's first capital city, and Jerusalem, which David made the capital of the Kingdom of Judah around the year 1000 BCE, after conquering the city from the Jebusites. The memory of the conflict between these two historic peoples, the Israelites and the Philistines, is a tangible, if not tragic, metaphor for their modern namesakes, the Israelis and the Palestinians, who are engaged in a conflict that continues to this present day. The geographical location of this ancient city of Khirbet Qeiyafa places it within the borders of the Kingdom of Judah, and based on what was found there, it is dated to the time of King David.
And I think that the important thing of Khirbet Qeiyafa that is giving us a more realistic picture about the Kingdom of David. It's not everything or nothing. It's something in between. And I think that if you're taking the biblical tradition and our data here, you can see that the Bible says that David started at Hebron. Later he conquered Jerusalem. Hebron and Jerusalem is about 1 day walk. Khirbet Qeiyafa is in the middle. From here to Hebron is 1 day walk, and from here to Jerusalem is 1 day walk. So I think that this is the beginning of the Kingdom of David.
In 2007, when excavations began at Khirbet Qeiyafa, no one was prepared for what Garfinkel and Ganor would discover. What they found was nothing short of remarkable. Decades earlier, archaeologist Yigal Shiloh had observed 4 common elements in ancient Israelite cities based on the study of archaeological sites in the kingdoms of Judah and Israel, which today is known as the schematic plan of the ancient Israelite city. Very soon into the excavations, Garfinkel and Ganor discovered that Khirbet Qeiyafa was obviously built according to the same schematic plan and architectural style as other cities in the Kingdom of Judah, like Beit Mirsam, Beit Shemesh, Tel en-nasbeh, and beer-sheva. The site became worldwide news overnight. Even more amazing was the discovery that the city had been occupied for only a brief period of about 45 years during the Iron Age that matched the time of King David. It was later reoccupied and reused in other periods. The date of the site is based on 2 independent dating methods: absolute radiometric dates with carbon-14 from olive pits found at Khirbet Qeiyafa, and relative dates from pottery typology from this site. These 2 methods coalesce to place the date for the time Khirbet Qeiyafa was built and occupied to around 1000 BCE, or the time historians believe Israel's great King David conquered Jerusalem and made it the capital of the Kingdom of Judah. At the same time, significant changes in monumental architecture are observed at the city of David in Jerusalem. Archaeologist Eilat Mazar excavated what she called the large stone structure at the city of David in Jerusalem and dated this to the early Iron IIA period, a time that overlaps the date of the fortified city at Khirbet Qeiyafa.
This building that was supported by the stepped stone structure was recently excavated. And we have remains of foundations, though not very well preserved, of foundations of a very large building, which was interpreted by Eilat Mazar, its excavator, as the Palace of David. We don't actually know if this was the Palace of David, but we can say with quite a great deal of confidence that this was a large building, a public building, dated to more or less this time. The pottery that was found below the foundations of this building is dated to the 12th and 11th centuries BC. That means before the time of David. The pottery that was found among the stones of this building and right on top of the stepped stone structure is dated to the 10th and 9th centuries BC, which is the time of David, Solomon, and their successors.
The close proximity in geography and time for these changes in the monumental architecture at the city of David in Jerusalem and at Khirbet Qeiyafa, which is just a short one-day's walk west of Jerusalem, is too significant to be ignored. It is for these reasons and others that many scholars agreed that what archaeologists have found is the beginnings of a new political power in the region, the Kingdom of Judah. As one would expect at a fortified city in the early Kingdom of Judah, archaeologists did not find any pork bones at Khirbet Qeiyafa. This is a clear indication to researchers about who lived at this site. The Philistines, who lived on the coastal plain west of Judah, had immigrated to Canaan from the region of the Minoan and Mycenaean civilizations, most likely arriving from the island of Cyprus, and according to the Bible, before that from the island of Crete. They were known to drink beer and wine in unique jugs and cups, and they decorated their pottery with a distinctive style. Most significant of all, the Philistines ate pork. In contrast, the Israelites were a people group that arose from the ancient Semitic culture of the Near East who did not eat pork. The absence of pork bones in the excavations at Khirbet Qeiyafa was a clear indication that the residents of the city were Semitic and not from the same culture as the Philistines. The response in the academic community was electric. Immediately from the time of first publication up to the present, Khirbet Qeiyafa has been surrounded by controversy as scholars and archaeologists challenge the findings and conclusions of Garfinkel and his team. Archaeologist Israel Finkelstein led the attack against Khirbet Qeiyafa, but conceded in a 2012 article for the prestigious archaeology journal of Tel Aviv University that affiliating Khirbet Qeiyafa with Judah is the more logical possibility from the strictly geographical proximity point of view. But nevertheless, Finkelstein supported the other possibility, to affiliate Khirbet Qeiyafa with the North Israelite territorial formation that seems to have emerged in the late Iron One in the highlands north of Jerusalem. Professor Yossi Garfinkel insisted on the more logical possibility that Khirbet Qeiyafa was built by the political entity emerging in the region, which included the Elah Valley, known to us as the Kingdom of Judah. A father of the fatherless, a defender of widows, is God in his holy habitation. Now therefore be wise, O kings, be instructed, you judges of the earth. From the Psalms of David. Soon after the Qeiyafa ostracon was discovered, scholars deciphered three words that connected to the literary world of the Bible: judge, widow, and king, that evoked the biblical themes of royal wisdom, social justice, and defending the oppressed that is so foundational to the rich literary heritage of the Kingdom of Judah, passed on to us through the Hebrew Bible. Hebrew University epigraphist Dr. Haggai Miskav published the inscription and was the first to notice the connection between the inscription and the themes of justice, ethics, government, and politics. Miskav suggested that the ostracon could prove to be the earliest Hebrew inscription. Today all scholars agree that the inscription is an early form of a Semitic language, even if not all agree it is Hebrew. Yossi Garfinkel responded to critics in a Biblical Archaeology Review article where he wrote, "The inscription tells us about the language used by the local population, during the earlier part of the Iron Age, probably an earlier phase of the Hebrew language. The Iron Age pottery found at Khirbet Qeiyafa is typical to the period and provides a picture of everyday life during the time of biblical King Saul and King David. The daily vessels of jugs, lamps, and storage jars found at the site illustrate for us the lives of the soldiers and citizens of Judah in this period. More than 520 jar handles with stamp impressions were found at Khirbet Qeiyafa and are a component of the material culture known only in sites located within the Kingdom of Judah and not other political units in the region. The jar handles found at the site foreshadow the administrative system of the Kingdom of Judah during the days of King Hezekiah and the famous Lamelech jar handle stamped with belonging to the king and the cities of Hebron, Ziph, Memshat, and Socho, located near Khirbet Qeiyafa on the other side of the Elah Valley. The residents of Khirbet Qeiyafa indisputably came in contact with the Philistines, as Garfinkel and his team found a unique form of Philistine pottery called Ashdodware, named after the Philistine city Ashdod, located only 30 kilometers from Khirbet Qeiyafa, traveling westward towards the Mediterranean coast. The Hebrew Bible tells the story of the conflict between the Philistines and the emerging Israelites during the period of the Judges until the time of King David. At Khirbet Qeiyafa, archaeologists found a sharp distinction between the culture of the Kingdom of Judah and that of the Philistine cities to the west. The God of the Hebrews took up residence in his house, the Temple of Solomon, in Jerusalem. Do we see evidence for a connection between the Hebrew religion in Jerusalem and religion at Khirbet Qeiyafa? Prominently found at Khirbet Qeiyafa are ancient standing stones. Standing stones are a feature of ancient Semitic religion and are called matzavot in the Hebrew Bible. In the biblical narrative of Jacob, father of the Hebrew nation of Israel, we read that Jacob set up a standing stone at Bethel and called it God's house. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, "If God will be with me, this standing stone shall be God's house." The relationship between standing stones and ancient Semitic religion dates back millennia, and they are considered a hallmark of Semitic religion that originated in the Negev desert. The standing stones of the Canaanites, like these from Hatzor, were iconic and had images of their gods, something forbidden in the Hebrew religion as found in the Bible, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image." Standing stones in the Negev desert were aniconic and had no icons or images, and they were made from natural uncarved stones. Standing stones at Khirbet Qeiyafa are aniconic and natural stones. At the fortress of Arad, built by the Kingdom of Judah, archaeologists found a temple. Inside the Holy of Holies was a standing stone. Was this a symbol of the God of the Hebrews? Or did the standing stones at Arad and Khirbet Qeiyafa represent the worship of foreign gods forbidden in the Bible? That is for you to decide. What has remained to this day of the religious world of the Kingdom of Judah? The temple in Jerusalem, first built by Solomon and then rebuilt by the returning exiles and renovated by King Herod, is lost to us today. The model of King Herod's temple at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem helps us imagine Solomon's temple, described in the Bible as a building of splendor and glory, where priests offered sacrifice to God for the atonement of sins. This ancient heritage was passed on to the world through the Hebrew Bible from a people whom God called out of the desert, the people of Israel. The religious artifacts recovered from Khirbet Qeiyafa testify to an ancient religious belief from the time of King David, in the years before Solomon built his famed temple. A ritual altar was found in a sacred room at the site. On the side of the altar we can see what appears to be the branches of a tree or a plant that evoke the seven-branched menorah. The ancient Hebrew lampstand that held 7 oil lamps was made of pure gold, as we read of in the Hebrew Bible, and eventually was placed inside the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. Could this altar be a direct connection to the religious life of the Kingdom of Judah and Solomon's temple? 2 other artifacts suggest an even more remarkable connection to the ancient temple in Jerusalem. 2 religious shrines were found at Khirbet Qeiyafa that powerfully evoke the Temple of Solomon, one made of clay and a second made of stone. They are miniature models of ancient temples. The clay shrine features two pillars, one on the left and one on the right, like the two pillars Yachin and Boaz, described in Solomon's temple, and along with these pillars appear various architectural features and decorations. The second shrine is made of soft limestone and was painted red like the curtains inside Solomon's temple. We can see 7 groups of roof beams with 3 planks each and a recessed doorway that was a symbol of both divinity and royalty in the temples and palaces of the ancient Near East. These shrines suggest features of Solomon's temple, previously only known from the Bible, but are dated only 30 to 40 years before King Solomon's temple was constructed. Finding objects such as these related to the Temple of Solomon gives us reason to believe there was a connection between Khirbet Qeiyafa and ancient Jerusalem. The fact that Khirbet Qeiyafa was built with casemate wall fortifications, like those used at fortified cities in the Kingdom of Judah, is too much of a coincidence to ignore. The builders used Egyptian royal units of measurement, the cubit, palm, and finger, and this raises questions that Garfinkel and his team are seeking to answer. Archaeology continues to give us reasons to conclude that King David and the Temple of Solomon were more than just elements of an ancient story. And through the site of Khirbet Qeiyafa, we see into an ancient world, long buried beneath the sands of time.